A few Genesis games turned into absolute icons, while others flew right under the radar even though they were just as brilliant. Today, we're ranking the 11 best Sega Genesis games of all time. Starting from classic platformers and massive RPGs to non-stop action and timeless adventures, these are the exact games that build the legacy of Sega's legendary console. Let's jump straight in. Translating a Hollywood action blockbuster into a fun video game was notoriously tough during the 16-bit era, but Cliffhanger defied the odds and turned out far better than most licensed cash grabs. Instead of sticking strictly to standard brawler mechanics, it blends side-scrolling action with intense mountain climbing, platforming, and hazardous terrain that gives the adventure a distinct identity. You step into the boots of Gabe Walker, a rugged mountain rescuer forced to hunt down stolen cash while tracking his missing partner. The plot is straightforward, but it sets the stage nicely for grueling treks across frozen peaks, treacherous ledges, and hostile hideouts. The gameplay constantly shakes things up by alternating between hand-to-hand combat and steep climbing segments. You'll be throwing punches, clearing massive chasms, scaling sheer rock faces, and executing high-risk leaps that demand sharp timing. This variety stops the action from feeling monotonous. The controls do take some getting used to. The jumping physics feel a bit stiff at first, and certain special moves drain your own health bar, turning them into a high-stakes gamble. Once you find your rhythm though, the flow improves significantly. The soundtrack is a massive standout, seamlessly transitioning from atmospheric, eerie exploration tracks to high-octane battle themes that keep your adrenaline pumping. Visually, the snowy backdrops offer great variety, and the character sprites hold up well, even if the enemy defeat animations repeat a bit often. While it didn't quite reach the legendary status of heavyweights like Streets of Rage or Shinobi 3, Cliffhanger remains a surprisingly solid and engaging action title that packs enough challenge to be worth revisiting today. Shinobi 3 perfected every single mechanic that made Sega's iconic ninja franchise legendary. Blazing fast, remarkably fluid, and dripping with creative flair, it stands tall as one of the absolute greatest action titles on the Genesis. You once again step into the role of Joe Musashi, the ultimate master ninja, embarking on a high-stakes mission to crush a massive criminal empire threatening global security. The combat is straightforward yet endlessly rewarding. Joe carves through foes with his katana, hurls rapid-fire shurikens, and unleashes devastating ninjutsu magic when the odds are stacked against him. Game-changing new mobility options like wall jumping, aerial kicks, sliding, and dashing make movement buttery smooth and push the pacing far beyond its predecessors. The true magic lies in the breathtaking stage variety. 1 second you're sprinting through dense forests as enemy ninja ambush you from the treetops. The next, you're galloping on horseback across open plains, surfing on a high-speed jetboard over crashing ocean waves, or scaling the sheer outer hull of a colossal flying fortress. Every single level introduces fresh, inventive ideas that keep your adrenaline pumping from start to finish. Visually, Shinobi 3 is a masterclass in hardware optimization, featuring crisp sprites, silky animations, vibrant environments, and deep parallax scrolling that create an incredible sense of speed and scale. The soundtrack hits just as hard, blending high-energy rock with traditional Japanese instrumentation to perfectly complement the relentless action. The only minor downside is its brevity, as veteran players can slice through it in just a couple of hours. Even so, the peerless controls, unforgettable boss encounters, and relentless creativity cement Shinobi 3 as an absolute crown jewel of the Sega Genesis library. Castle of Illusion proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Sega Genesis could deliver magical platforming adventures that rivaled the absolute best Nintendo had to offer. You take on the role of Mickey Mouse, embarking on a daring rescue mission to save Minnie from the clutches of the Wicked Witch Mizrabel. While the plot is straightforward, it serves up the ideal setup for an unforgettable trek through a whimsical castle filled with twisted, enchanted realms. Each distinct stage boasts its own vivid theme, whisking Mickey through eerie, living forests, towering toy rooms, hauntingly massive libraries, and surreal confectionery lands. Every world introduces fresh hazards, unique enemies, and creative boss encounters that keep the pacing brisk and exciting. The gameplay mechanics are welcoming to pick up, yet deceptively demanding. Mickey dispatches foes by landing a classic bounce attack or hurling scattered projectiles, while tight, precise platforming becomes crucial as you advance. Though wearing a cheerful, family-friendly facade, several late-stage challenges require sharp reflexes and precise timing. The true magic lies in its unmatched presentation. Rich backgrounds, vibrant sprites, fluid animations, and a timeless soundtrack capture the pure spirit of a classic Disney film better than almost any licensed title of the 16-bit era. Every corner of the castle overflows with charming details that make exploration a genuine joy. Though a relatively short journey, its brilliant level design, imaginative aesthetic, and enduring charm have cemented Castle of Illusion as a crown jewel of the Genesis library, standing tall as one of Mickey's finest digital outings and a definitive retro masterpiece. Golden Axe reigns supreme as one of the definitive arcade sensations of its era, and its Sega Genesis port pulled off a remarkably faithful home conversion. While certain graphical bells and whistles had to be trimmed for the hardware, the frantic arcade action and cooperative chaos survived the transition completely intact, instantly cementing it as a foundational beat 'em up for the console. You get to choose from 3 distinct champions: the well-rounded warrior Axe Battler, the fire-wielding Amazon Tyrus Flare, and the powerhouse dwarf Gilius Thunderhead. Each hero packs unique attributes and specialized magic elemental attacks, giving you plenty of incentive to replay the campaign with different styles. The combat loop is direct yet deeply satisfying. You'll hack and slash through relentless hordes of armored soldiers, reanimated skeletons, and mythical beasts using standard melee combos, jump attacks, throws, and screen-clearing spellcasts. As the difficulty climbs, knowing how to crowd control and time your special moves becomes the difference between victory and defeat. The Genesis version also threw in a sweet bonus for home players, an exclusive extra final stage that unlocks after beating Death Adder. This secret area amps up the heat with tougher platforming traps, vicious new enemies, and an ultimate showdown that truly tests veteran players. Visually, Golden Axe stands as a solid early showcase for the Genesis, sporting chunky, distinct sprites, vibrant fantasy stages, and iconic creature designs. The soundtrack nails that brooding, epic arcade atmosphere, and the tight, responsive controls ensure that bashing skulls with a friend remains just as fun today as it was decades ago. Over 30 years down the road, Golden Axe proudly maintains its legendary status as a cornerstone of Sega's action catalog and an absolute must-play Genesis classic. QuackShot rode the massive wave of success left by Castle of Illusion, giving Donald Duck his very own starring vehicle on the Sega Genesis. Steering away from the standard rescue mission, Donald embarks on a globe-trotting treasure hunt heavily inspired by classic pulp adventure cinema. Traversing scorching deserts, dense jungles, crumbling ancient ruins, and high-tech corporate strongholds, he chases down legendary riches while dodging deadly traps, solving light puzzles, and dispatching colorful foes. Instead of standard weapons, Donald packs a quirky arsenal anchored by his trusty plunger gun. Upgrades and specialized ammunition unlock completely new ways to interact with the world. Standard plungers handle close-range threats, while others act as temporary wall ladders or grab onto passing ledges to hoist you up to secret areas. This clever mechanic shifts the focus toward rewarding exploration and backtracking, making the game world feel surprisingly vast. While Donald's momentum can occasionally feel a bit slippery during pixel-tight jumps, the controls remain responsive enough to keep the pacing smooth. Visually, QuackShot stands out as a masterclass in Disney animation. Donald's sprite is bursting with personality, perfectly capturing his iconic tantrums, stubborn frustration, and triumphant swagger. Vibrant backdrops and a catchy, adventurous soundtrack ensure every stage feels entirely distinct. Blending creative mechanics, light exploration, and timeless Disney charm, QuackShot proudly stands as one of the absolute finest 16-bit adaptations ever made and a crown jewel of the Genesis library. Castlevania Bloodlines gifted Sega Genesis owners an absolute masterpiece of their very own, bringing Konami's legendary franchise to the 16-bit console in breathtaking fashion. Set against the grim backdrop of events leading up to World War I, the plot follows John Morris and Eric Licard as they embark on a continent-spanning crusade across Europe to stop the Dark Countess Elizabeth Bartley from resurrecting Dracula. Strongly inspired by Bram Stoker's original novel, the game carves out a distinct identity with its historical backdrop and oppressive, gothic atmosphere. You get to choose between two unique heroes who completely change how you approach the journey. John wields the iconic vampire killer whip, granting him multi-directional striking and the ability to swing across dangerous gaps, while Eric commands an enchanted spear that lets him vault high into the air to reach hidden ledges. The core gameplay honors the beloved Castlevania formula, serving up pixel-tight platforming, punishing foes, cinematic boss encounters, and handy sub-weapons. Thanks to the Genesis 3-button layout, sub-weapons finally get their own dedicated trigger, making combat slicker and more responsive than previous entries in the series. Every stage pulls off jaw-dropping technical tricks, taking you from crumbling European ruins and towering castles to the Leaning Tower of Pisa, where the entire background actually rotates dynamically as you climb. These brilliant set pieces keep your heart racing all the way to the final confrontation. Visually, Bloodlines stands tall as a technical showcase for the Genesis, sporting richly detailed sprites, smooth as silk animations, and bleeding-edge special effects like scaling water surfaces and warping perspectives. Anchored by a phenomenal soundtrack composed by Michiru Yamane, it drenches every zone in a haunting, atmospheric mood. Brimming with difficulty, style, and pure creative flair, it easily ranks among the finest entries the franchise has ever produced. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 took everything that made the original smash hit so brilliant and supersized it into a defining masterwork for the Sega Genesis. Arriving just a year later, the sequel amped up the velocity, expanded the level layouts, and introduced Sonic's loyal sidekick, Miles Tails Prower. The narrative stakes are simple yet classic. Dr. Robotnik is once again hunting down the powerful Chaos Emeralds to fuel his sinister ambitions, and it's up to our blue hero to crash the party. The core mechanics remain wonderfully direct yet utterly addictive. You'll blast through vibrant environments, collect glistening rings, bounce on mechanical foes, and tear through massive loops, twists, and hidden alternate routes. The game-changing addition here is the Spin Dash, allowing Sonic to crouch and rev up in place before launching forward at breathtaking speeds, which completely transforms the flow of movement. The level design is a masterclass in pacing. Legendary zones like Emerald Hill, Chemical Plant, and Casino Night keep players on their toes with inventive hazards while rewarding thorough exploration. As the campaign advances, the platforming demands tighter reflexes, favoring those who truly master Sonic's heavy momentum. Tails makes a stellar debut, functioning as an extra buddy for two-player cooperative playthroughs, even if his computer-controlled counterpart can occasionally get left in the dust. Visually, Sonic 2 stands as one of the absolute gold standards of the 16-bit era, boasting eye-popping color palettes, lightning-fast animations, and incredible technical tricks like the pseudo 3D special stages. Backed by an iconic, high-energy soundtrack that pulses with pure momentum, it proudly holds its ground as one of the greatest platformers ever coded. Beyond Oasis masterfully blends action, exploration, and light role-playing elements into one of the most distinctive adventures on the Sega Genesis. While it might look like a traditional fantasy RPG at first glance, its true heart beats with fast-paced, real-time combat. You step into the shoes of Prince Ali, a young hero who stumbles upon a mysterious golden armlet that grants him the power to summon 4 elemental spirits to aid his quest. Exploration flows naturally as you traverse lush forests, dark caves, crumbling castles, and mystical shrines scattered across an interconnected world. Rather than bogging you down with complex stat management or endless grinding, the game keeps momentum high with snappy movement, environmental puzzles, switches, and hidden passages. Combat is where the experience truly comes alive. Ali's starting dagger is deceptively versatile, letting you chain together rapid combos, spinning slashes, diving aerial attacks, and heavy special moves using classic fighting game motion commands. Along the way, you'll also uncover bows, heavy swords, and bombs, though your trusty dagger remains a constant staple. The elemental spirits inject massive tactical depth into every skirmish. Each companion brings a completely unique utility, whether it's patching up your health, clearing block paths, or bathing the battlefield in raw elemental destruction. Visually, Beyond Oasis stands tall as a technical masterpiece for the Genesis, boasting vibrant, painterly environments, richly detailed sprites, and silky smooth animations that hold up exceptionally well today. While the journey is a bit shorter than a sprawling epic, its deeply satisfying mechanics, towering boss fights, and polished presentation make it an absolute must-play classic. Phantasy Star IV delivered a truly unforgettable grand finale to Sega's landmark role-playing franchise. The narrative follows Chaz Ashley, an ambitious young hunter whose standard mission spirals into a massive, multi-planet epic filled with ancient civilizations and a dark threat tied directly to the history of the earlier games. Newcomers can easily jump in and enjoy the standalone story, while longtime fans will find plenty of brilliant callbacks and a deeply satisfying conclusion to the overarching saga. The combat builds on classic turn-based traditions while introducing one of its absolute best features, combination techniques. By executing specific spells and skills in a precise sequence, your party can chain them together into devastating combo attacks. Finding these powerful pairings and setting up custom battle macros adds a rewarding layer of strategy without bogging down the pacing. The cast is another huge highlight, as every party member boasts a distinct personality, and their witty or emotional banter makes the long journey feel alive compared to many generic RPGs of the era. Phantasy Star IV proudly holds its crown as one of the greatest RPGs to ever hit the Sega Genesis and a majestic farewell to an iconic universe. Strider stands tall as one of the earliest arcade breakthroughs to truly test the limits of the Sega Genesis. Brought to life by Capcom, the game packed lightning-fast combat, fluid motion, and wildly inventive stage layouts, instantly cementing itself as a powerhouse for the system. You step into the shoes of Hiryu, a top-tier ninja on a mission to track down and destroy the Grandmaster, a tyrannical dictator barricaded inside an impenetrable fortress. The journey constantly shifts gears, pulling you across a massive variety of backdrops, from Soviet-inspired metropolises and high-tech military bases to massive airships and untamed, prehistoric jungles, giving every single zone its own unmistakable vibe. Hiryu's unmatched agility steals the show. He can sprint, flip through the air, scale vertical walls, hang upside down from ceilings, and slice through opposition with his iconic plasma sword. Snagging power-ups expands the blade's reach, turning the combat into an absolute thrill. You'll encounter heavy vertical platforming, relentless waves of enemies, and intense boss fights that test your reflexes and timing. While the difficulty spikes, the controls remain tight enough that every setback feels entirely fair. Even with minor frame drops, when the screen gets too chaotic, the momentum never stalls. Backed by standout aesthetics, fluid animation, and pure action, Strider easily claims its spot among the greatest titles to ever grace the Genesis. And that right there is why the Sega Genesis remains celebrated as an all-time great console. Whether you grew up jamming cartridges into this black box, or you're experiencing these masterpieces for the very first time, they stand as permanent proof that incredible gameplay never loses its edge. Now, I want to toss it over to you. Which of these Genesis legends holds the crown as your absolute favorite, or did we leave a hidden gem off the list? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button, subscribe for more retro deep dives, and I'll catch you in the next video.